God, wait, the slimy mud leading up to it kind of is poopy.
It's poopy. But it literally is poopy.
It's like kind of poopy.
No, it literally is poopy. Welcome back to Seeker and Confessor, a Sword of Truth podcast. I'm your host, Frank.
And I'm Lauren.
And today we'll be covering Chapter 45 of A Wizard's First Rule by Terry Goodkind.
I can't believe you're sticking with it.
Add the A.
We're here today for our egg chapter right here.
Yep.
That is our egg for
That's
the
our
day.
egg.
I wish we had a red one, but that's not really Easter colors, so that would have been hard to find.
The egg was red? Yeah, I assume it was red.
No, it was probably white, right?
Eggs usually are. But chicken eggs are. I don't know. Dragon eggs could be any color, probably.
First order of business. I know everybody's been very interested, rightfully so, in Ajax Cinnamon Sticks.
Oh my god.
Rewrite.
Yes.
And it's been, the YouTube comments is like not liking him posting the link and whatever. So I'm going to try putting it in the description, both on YouTube and for the audio podcast. I'm assuming it'll work.
Probably.
We'll see. So look there if you want to read it. It should have the link there just to make things easy. So that way we'll all be caught up by the time we go through it. How did you feel about chapter 45?
You know, it happened. It was definitely one of those chapters that just occurred. Nothing thrilling.
Well, technically,
well,
it was all thrilling,
okay,
right?
that's maybe my problem, yeah. It just happened. You know, if you're here for like the adolescent hero journey, fighting the monster in the cave shit, this is your chapter. But for some reason, it was just kind of boring.
I know, it like kind of was, but I also kind of liked it.
Yeah, I had no problems with it. It just was.
I definitely didn't hate it. I think if you were just reading this in passing, it would be a perfectly good chapter for a book like this.
It's just perfectly, you sail right through this.
Yeah, I didn't dislike it.
This challenge kind of came out of nowhere, and the resolution of it was pretty just straightforward. So,
well, the cave journey, I guess I enjoyed the cave journey more than I enjoyed the egg retrieval, is what I'll say.
Definitely.
The egg retrieval was just like,
Gars
okay.
hate this one cheap trick.
Yeah.
That's all I gotta say.
It was very Chekhov's whistle. We've been waiting for the whistle to drop.
Yeah.
Here it comes.
And it's like, if you didn't, you know, intervene with 120 pages of intense BDSM, torture, capture, slavery, whatever, maybe like I could have sailed right into this being like, oh, that's where we use it. But I'm already so defrazzled. Defrazzled. I got frazzled and then unfrazzled, and now I'm like, oh yeah, I guess that whistle.
It is everything. I mean, I think a lot of people feel that way. The book is so weird in that it's like tone up until Denna is something. Then that whole portion, it feels like a totally different book. Yeah. And now we're back to the first tone.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it is a weird adjustment. It's
like in Minecraft, when you're in the overworld for a while, you're going good. Even nighttime's a little scary, but it's not that bad. And then like you see a fissure and you go straight down into like hell, and you're like, oh man, this shit's crazy. And then you climb back out and you're like, oh, there's just cows and sunshine again. And it's like, we went deep and then back out, and now we're just trucking along.
This episode might be a little dull. We'll see. We start off, Richard and his new girlfriend Scarlet met last chapter.
Yep.
He's like somehow getting back into some sort of BDSM relationship, and off they go. Richard, he
can't stop. He simply can't stop.
Scarlet let Richard ride on her. She's hating that, but it is what it is, because we got to save the world. We got to save the baby dragon egg, and he's riding her. We open the chapter with him flying on her. Classic fantasy moment. Obviously, here for Richard.
He's got to do it. And yeah, I love how boring this was.
I can't tell if you're being sarcastic.
No, I'm not. It was just the most trite thing ever. Here's what's hard. Terry has some truly like unique descriptions of things.
Yeah, he does.
And then sometimes he just goes copy paste. And this felt like a boy on the dragon for the first time.
Yeah, sometimes the copy paste feels lazy to me. Sometimes the copy paste feels like we are reaching for like that nostalgic, archetypal feeling.
Sure.
Here, I think maybe that's what he was doing.
That's fair. My favorite little bit, though, of his description of, like, flying was, for some reason, Terry needed to tell us that Richard suddenly grasped centrifugal force. Like, that was my favorite bit. He's just like, weird, the velocity keeps me on the back of the dragon. I don't feel as if I'm being pulled off to the sides. And it's like, yeah, Richard might be, like,
why would you not know?
Reflecting on force change.
You wouldn't know that.
You wouldn't know it.
Right?
I like how he was like, that would be something Richard would notice. And you would never have a chance to really notice it in your life.
It's like not intuitive.
No.
Right?
And you're not designing
when are you
vehicles or
anything?
flying.
Yeah, he's never going on a roller coaster.
No, he's walking through the woods. You wouldn't know.
Yeah, but he finds flying exhilarating and frightening.
Yep.
And I thought there were some descriptions. They were like, borderline a little sexual in feeling about...
Well, isn't sex also exhilarating and frightening?
So true.
So true.
Yeah. So the feeling of her body lifting him into the air made him grin. He remarks upon the feeling of her muscles flexing beneath him as she stroked the air with her powerful wings.
Wow.
He's getting me into
the
idea of her.
It's a soft launch of their relationship.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like she's stroking the air with her powerful wings,
her muscles. Yeah.
And Richard marveled at the very idea of riding a dragon.
Yeah, I guess that's what I mean. Like the way he's describing it, plus that line to me felt like I was like, yeah, he was just going for simple. Really wonder, think about it.
A little bit of a sexual overtone.
Well, that part is not classic, maybe.
It is for me. God damn it.
No, you know what? I'm gonna defend him. I think that maybe anytime there's a monster, not always, but a lot of times, man meets monster has some sort of sexual flavor.
Are you saying in this book or just in
always,
general? Oh, okay.
Always.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Or not every single iteration, but like a lot of them mythologically, I think they do.
The Hydra? A lot of dicks.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm backing you up here. I'm trying to help you not bury yourself. All right.
I think I'm good. So they fly around, they go to where the Gars are. Scarlet says there's too many of them, as we established last chapter.
Yeah, it's a numbers game.
They fly down and they hide behind hills. I was kind of like, how far away are you that the Gars didn't see the dragon, but you could see, I don't know.
Yeah, well, Richard being able to see them makes no sense. If you're going to be like, the dragon can see because it has dragon sight or something, I'd be like, all right.
Because it says, I don't remember if it specified Richard saw them. She said there's too many of them.
Oh,
so I don't know.
Okay, so maybe it's her spying them from a mile away.
I guess maybe. So then...
Well, she is like a bird, remember?
I know.
Yeah.
They land near Shadrin's cave.
Uh-huh.
Is the monster in the cave a Shadrin?
We'll never know, probably.
I don't know. I don't know what the name means, but this was where they came when Kaylin was still like in her depression and like all tied up.
Oh yeah.
That was when Richard was a dom back in the day.
Yep.
Instead
an unwilling
of a sub.
dom. Yeah.
And yeah, I remember she was like, oh, some people say you can go through the back to the other side, and some people say there might be a monster, right? I think that was the information we were given.
Spoiler alert, both of those things are true.
Scarlet says there's too many Gars. Darknarl knows I can't fight that many. That's why there are so many there.
I love that shit. The dialogue is so stupid. Oh, really? That's why?
Yeah, of course. That makes sense.
That's far too many Gars. That's more Gars than I can handle. That's at least twice as many Gars as I can comfortably fight. Darknarl knew this. That's why there's so many Gars.
It's like, oh my god, he put guards. He knew I couldn't fight those guards. They're protecting the thing. I can't get in. They put them there so that I couldn't get in.
They were hired for this purpose.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. Can we just give it up for Terry one more time for the brilliant naming convention of Fire Spring? Thank you, Terry. You reached deep for that one.
And Scarlet.
Fucking hell.
Scarlet going to the
Scarlet
Fire
is still
Spring.
maybe the second worst dragon name I can come up with.
What's the number one?
Crimson. Crimson's worse.
Really?
Yeah, if you just said, this is the dragon Crimson, you're like, oh, you didn't.
What if it was just red?
Red's kind of sick, actually.
Red
goes back around. Absolutely. Like, of the just color names, Vermilion's kind of cool. Scarlet's like, you didn't try. Crimson's like, that's edgy as fuck. That's like a 13-year-old came up with it. Red's like, ooh, wait a minute. Like, you're trying something.
Which doesn't have 2 Ds.
Of course, yeah.
Scarlet asks Richard what his plan is. Richard looks at Shadrin's cave and says they need a diversion. And he says, oh, I heard I could get all the way over to where the egg is through that cave. I don't remember if we specified that's where it was letting him out.
No one knows. Who knows? I don't know.
And
it's a complex, miles-long cave system, and he's just like, I know this goes there.
Maybe Caitlin said that. I don't remember. So he says maybe he can go through the cave and get the egg that way. And Scarlet just says, get going.
Yeah,
which love that.
Go.
I kind of like Scarlet.
Yeah, she's bossy.
Yeah. I like her.
She's a mama, no nonsense. Yeah.
Get going.
All right, here you go.
They should make her a Mortsith. Like,
yo, wait, you know how much red leather you need to clad the dragon?
She should be like their something, like in
their god. Yeah. The Mortsith god Scarlet.
Like she's kind of like the final boss or something.
Damn.
She seems like she'd fit in. That's all I'll
she
say.
would, but yeah, she doesn't have the finesse, you know?
She's got something.
She does.
And she says get going, and Richard's like, okay, I thought maybe we were gonna like talk it out and maybe see if there was another plan.
This is not a plan.
And he's like, actually, there might literally be a monster in there that's gonna kill me. And then she just breathes a bunch of fire into the cave, and then she's like, no more monster now. And then Richard, in the back of his head's like, I don't think that's how that works.
I don't think he was like right there.
But she is cool.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely.
Right, like I do feel like I'm having the same relationship I had with Denna, where like right in the beginning when Richard and her started hanging out, like she was being a bitch, but like unfortunately it was really sick.
Yeah. Yeah. If he does one thing right, it's right these bossy ladies with lots of power.
Yeah, like unfortunately she's doing many cool things, and
Agreed.
So I do kind of love her.
Why unfortunately? Honestly, she's the least problematic thing so far.
You're right.
She didn't do anything wrong.
Well,
her egg was stolen, and she's grumpy, and she's not a human, so she doesn't give a fuck.
I'm not holding her.
There's no standards for this dragon.
Standards. She wants to eat the man. Of course she does. He's just like done arguing with her, and he asks
I'm done with you.
Her to light a stick with fire. You get the sense that there's some like tension in him asking for that. Like she's kind of like, I want to do this shit for you. But she does it.
Not everyone can see in the dark, Scarlet.
So then, I don't know, Richard's like, you wait here. Sometimes it's better to be small than big. I won't be spotted so easily. Like, I don't know why I feel like he's like negging her.
He just loves throwing a negging at the end. Like, I don't know why.
He's being Flip.
He can't stop.
He really can't.
He should have been called Richard Flip Cypher. Richard Flip
but
Raw.
Why? Sometimes it's better to be like that was the plan. I think that was baked in. We all knew that.
Yeah, because it was better to be big. She would just bring 2 dragons. Right. Honestly, that's a good plan too. Comparatively to this plan, it might have worked better.
I wonder if they like dragons. don't get along. But...
Well, who fucked her to make that egg is my question.
I don't know.
Get that father on the line.
I don't
to
think it
help
works
out.
like that.
Well, you think it's like an ovipositor? Like what?
No, like meaning I think they're like in heat and they're like, fine, we'll do this, but they're not like getting along.
They're in heat.
So he tells her this might take a while. He puts his backpack on her back, and she says to be careful with the egg because it will not be good if the shell cracks too early. I think her as a mom is all very sweet in this chapter. Yeah. I liked that. Richard goes into the cave and she yells into the cave, Richard Cypher, if you try to run away, I'll find you. And if you come back without the egg, you will wish the Gars had killed you because I will cook you slow, starting at your feet. Richard says if the Gars get him, he will kill enough of them so she can get the egg and escape. She says, try not to let that happen. I still want to eat you when this is done. And then Richard smiles and goes into the darkness. I do like Richard. I think it is like character growth in a sense. This like reaction to her being like a dragon and rude. Like, I think old Richard might have been like,
he'd be so literal,
like haughty and angry about it.
I agree.
And I do think it's very like attractive and a cool quality to like have, I don't know, whatever this dynamic is.
Yeah, everyone likes a flip dude.
Yeah, is that being flip?
Kinda. It's cheeky.
It's cheeky. I don't know if it's being flip. I think it's more like he's like really accepting her as she is. And he's like, it's actually kind of funny. And like, yeah, you're a dragon. I think it relates obviously back to Denna and like that moment at the end, how he was like, oh, your framework. I'm getting into your head.
Now he's doing it with the dragon.
And now he's like, yeah, you're a dragon. Like, you're just being kind of...
That's how you talk, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the kind of threat you would level. It's the same as kind of being like... Chase being like, I'm going to spank you if you do to his kids, you know?
Yes and no. I guess I'm like, she probably
to
really...
his wife.
She really is going to eat him, I think.
She is, yeah.
I think he's laughing even if she's going to eat him.
He might be.
Right?
That's kind of crazy, though. But that's kind of sick.
It's kind of sick.
It's kind of sick to be like, you know what? Fucking cares, honestly. I'm on the edge, baby. This world's going down if I don't do this shit.
Yeah.
You crunch my bones. Yeah, start with my feet.
Yeah. So, okay, so we're going on, obviously, a very overtly psychological, symbolic journey into the cave, right?
This is Richard's dark ride.
Like a dark ride at Disney?
Correct.
How is that related?
Just keep going.
I don't think it's like a dark ride at all.
It's dark. It's kind of like on a track, you know? Because there's only really one place for him to go.
Sure. Yeah, there's no animatronics.
Well, there's one.
I feel it is obvious that the cave is traditionally used as a going into your own psyche.
Absolutely.
Allegory, metaphor, whatever you want to call it.
It is a delving. It is a dark night of the soul. It is a lot of things, but it's,
Yeah, so this is definitely Richard. This why, like, it's kind of good. Like,
kind of good, yeah.
Meaning, like, especially the part with Scarlet reflecting Denna, it's like he went right back into, like, having to deal with... Now he's well equipped for it. It's obviously also just different. He has a lot of leverage on her in a sense that he did not have with Denna and whatever.
Nope.
But, like, whatever. She's, like, a big reminder of, like, Denna's energy.
Sure.
And the dynamic in a sense. And then he like has to go with her and then immediately like reflect
on her,
what just happened to him.
Denna, on the whole journey even,
So like, I think this is like an appropriate time for him to go through that.
Dude has had no time to reflect.
This would have been a great time to reflect on Constance, but it's okay.
Nah, she's dead.
That would have
been.
This would have been great for that to like zing him right now. But anyway,
agreed.
I did think that the descriptions in the cave were good.
Yeah, very pretty.
I liked it.
Yeah.
So he's in pitch black. The floor is sloping downward. He's descending into the cold. The tunnel originally opens up into a huge room. And the path goes along a narrow ledge at the edge of a still green lake.
Creepy.
I think that green in this world represents the underworld.
Okay. Because like the green barrier.
The barrier and the boundary and everything.
And an underground journey is very underworld coded
of course. But I feel like that's his threshold. And that green lake is supposed to be the underworld imagery.
Yeah,
right?
I like that.
Really, only time green
ever comes up.
It's
either forest or underworld. Yeah.
So
and this is clearly that one.
I thought that was him. He's going past the river Styx right now.
In a way.
You heard it here, folks.
I heard it here.
You heard it here first. And the ceiling gets very low and he has to start walking hunched over for like an hour. This does sound arduous.
Yeah, it sounds horrible.
Yeah, it sounds terrifying. And the darkness was oppressive. It surrounded him, followed him, sucked him deeper, calling him onward with unseen sights. Like, that's pretty...
It's pretty cool.
Nice writing.
Yeah, I agree.
And then I did think, though, the, like, it surrounded him, followed him, sucked him deeper. Very vaginal.
Oh, yeah.
And very vor. Right?
Very both, yeah.
Like, very...
Weirdly, he's kind of in the stomach of the dragon right now, in a way. In a metaphorical way, not a literal way. Yeah, I don't know. It's fascinating, too. And we have a lot of scenes like this in media, especially hero media. You have Orpheus with the underworld. You have Harry Potter when he goes into the lake with Dumbledore.
You've got, well, if you want to go swallowed, you got Pinocchio.
You got Pinocchio and the Whale? Absolutely.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of the second Earthsea book, which is my favorite one.
It reminded me a lot.
love
like a
that
lot.
one. I mean, that one's like
way
more like in depth. That's like the whole book.
They're just in those caves.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
But I love that. Anyway, as he's going there, he sees colorful formations of crystal, and Richard is going through rooms of astounding beauty, which I thought the way he described it reminded me of how he described the People's Palace. So I felt like, I think he used like the same phrasing or very similar phrasing.
I didn't see that. Okay, cool.
So it makes me feel like he's like, again, meeting this like Denna analog and then having to like retrace that journey in a sense.
So this entire thing post Denna is almost like he went into the desert, Dark Night of the Soul, met a dragon, who went to go rescue her egg, had to go through this vaginal underworld type experience, which is really the entirety of it, almost like a metaphorical reflection on digesting what just happened to him.
Wow, the digestion moment, yeah.
But for real.
Yeah, in a sense.
And very alchemical, too, because I guess...
Right, he's like somehow through this, I think, like...
He's digesting himself.
Processing it. Yeah. But yeah, so I kind of was like, oh, this is like he's going through some like dark dream-like version of the People's Palace where it's like, again, he's like really uncomfortable, hunched and kind of like stuck. And then he'll like enter these rooms where he's like,
splendor,
and also it's gorgeous at the same time. So that's kind of cool. I thought the imagery was nice. The chill of the air causes steam to rise from his skin, and he could see vapor rising from his finger, like life's energy draining away. I was like, damn, that's pretty fucking cool.
It's very cool.
Right? Like, I'm picturing him walking through, like, all this mist coming off of him and, like, creepy...
Like, tendril, just getting sucked from him. Yeah. I once again, Terry's nature writing and just his appreciation of the natural world is just so... It feels so fresh because I feel like he really probably is someone that like did go into caves and reflect on it. Went into the woods a lot and reflected on it. Thought about wood, thought about stone. And then when he writes about it, you're like, people don't have this level of like
insight
from natural phenomena, materials. He's got it. And he then was able to translate it into fantasy. You know?
Definitely.
So
I do really like it. He's losing track of time. His body's aching. The ceiling keeps getting lower until he's literally crawling on his hands and knees, and the ground is covered in slimy mud that smells of rot. And I'm like, damn, like, yeah, this sucks. Okay, so the way diminished to a small opening, a black hole in the torchlight, which, that's like, it is like, go through.
He has no other option.
No, but so, like, you got to get reborn. That's he found...
It's vaginal, it's anal. He's like, being excreted through this process. Like, especially
you're going back to the vor.
Well, it's both. So that's why it's interesting.
Yeah.
He is being reborn.
He's also being shit out.
Being shit out, which is alchemical. Like 100%.
Yeah, it
Negretto, it's that whole step.
Yeah. That's true. Right. Which one is it? I don't know. My brain...
I think it is both.
I guess that's what... Oh my God. Wait, the slimy mud leading up to it kind of is... poopy.
It's poopy. But it literally is poopy.
It's like kind of poopy.
No, it literally is poopy. I think it's that monster's poopy. Yeah. That was what I thought. Because he did make a point up until that point, nothing smelled. He had no smell.
That is true.
The entire journey until he hit this area.
Okay, see, are you coming around on this chapter?
Like, absolutely. No, yes, I am. You're right.
See, it's kind of good.
I have thoughts, so...
It's kind of good.
It's kind of good.
All right. So what's weird is so much of Terry, I think, suffers from analyzing it, right? Like most chapters, the more you analyze it, the more you're like, I shouldn't have thought about it this hard. It would have been more fun if I didn't, which is how most people are reading it. But some chapters, I'm actually like, no, if everybody stopped and really thought about it, you'd actually take a lot more away than I think most people do. I think most people are just going to read through this real fast. A lot of people will certainly pick up like, oh, he went on an underworld journey. Got it. But I don't right? I don't think you would have been thinking about the poopy.
No, you certainly wouldn't. No,
but it's
absolutely not.
It's funny, but it's also like the imagery's really there of him going through getting eaten right with Scarlet. Come on, that's like reinforcing it hardcore.
I know.
How is he doing this level of complex?
I think it's because a lot of this writing, and usually when he falls apart, it's because of interpersonal stuff.
Unfortunately, that's true.
Because I think that this sort of writing is almost like therapeutic. Like Terry almost like tapped something in him.
I wish he would have gone almost way weirder with his writing.
I agree.
You know?
Yeah. That probably would have scared him too much.
It also probably wouldn't have sold so much.
And that was important to Terry.
Yeah, and of course. I mean, I can't blame
anyone else, yeah.
Right? Okay, so he's going through the little hole there. Is it a butthole? Is it a vagina? We don't know. It's both. It's both. So Richard did not like how small that hole looked. And air moaned through the passage, making the flame that he's holding flap and whip. That's great imagery.
It really is.
Right? That's creepy as all hell.
It is. And wait, so now we have...
What? Are you trying to do elements here?
I'm doing elements.
Well, he has fire.
He has fire.
The
he
air's
has sword.
coming through.
He has air.
Where's the water? Is it...
maybe there's none. Unless it's the poopy. I don't know.
I don't know. So Richard puts the torch into the hole to try and look around. He can't see anything. And he's not sure if he should go inside because he doesn't know how small or long it is.
On a practical level, this is a bad plan.
I know. It
Up
really
until
is.
now, it was like,
it was okay.
But right now, it's like, okay. I don't know, man.
So he doesn't want to go in to the little hole, but he's like, there is wind, so it obviously leads outside, not too far. So he's like, maybe I should double back, which I'm like, yeah.
Obviously.
But he doesn't want to waste time, I guess.
World's gonna end. That's fair.
I know.
You know?
I don't know. This is a risky maneuver here. He goes inside and he's immediately freaking out because of the way the rock is pressing on him.
Sword and fire first, too.
Yes. Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm going to be looking out for if water enters the picture here at any moment.
I mean, besides his tears, I don't know.
I'm very claustrophobic, so I really did not like this part.
It was a lot.
And Richard, Richard didn't like it either, but I was really feeling it because I hate being stuck in general, but I extra hate it if you're alone in a dark cave.
Yeah.
So
100%.
So yeah, he's arms straight out, fire and sword, and his head is turned sideways, and he pushes himself inside. And he can't take a deep breath, and the torch smoke is burning his eyes. It's hard because, it works really well for him to do this in terms of, the metaphor we're working with. But, yeah, some part of me is you idiot, go back. But I know that would fuck up his spiritual growth, you know?
It would. It absolutely would.
I almost wish he didn't have a choice in the matter somehow.
Yeah. Well, maybe it's better that he did, and he still chose it, you know?
I suppose.
Maybe.
I'd be looking for another hole, man. I would say that butthole vagina is not for me. Not that one.
Never said that before.
He gets stuck in a tight spot. He keeps trying to push his body forward, but he can't. He starts to panic, and then he starts imagining the mountain of rock that was pressing on his back, the unimaginable weight towering above him. I really like that. I will say, from my personal claustrophobia experience, I had a very similar feeling because I had a really bad time of it when I got stuck on the subway one time. It was a tunnel that I had to take to go from Queens to Manhattan, and you go under this very little tunnel in the train under the water before you get to Manhattan. And we got stuck in between for a while. And I really had never been terribly claustrophobic before that moment. But it was a very hot, packed train, and that was exactly what my thought was for some reason. All of a sudden, I just thought about the tube I was in, and I thought about the weight pressure, of all the water on top of us, and that was what freaked me out so bad. I don't know why. Something about, I was like, I'm underwater, in a little tube right now, and I can't get out, and I just pictured so much water on top of me. So I think it's kind of interesting that like it's such a specific way of like suddenly thinking about it that like I'm like, maybe that is like, I don't know. Well, there must be something to it.
Your brain, I think, in panic latches onto the enormity of things, and when you can't handle the concept. That's, I think we survive day to day because we don't reflect on those things enough. Yeah. You know what I mean? But when you're forced to dwell.
Well, that's the thing, right? Because usually when you just zip on through, you're like, why think about it?
I'm in a tube and it's going magical places.
But the second we're like, oh, it's been like 30 minutes of sitting here and you're like, where am I right now? Oh.
What if this did fail?
I am underwater.
I would be squashed like immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't like that.
My situation was obviously not as frightening as
Only
Richard's.
Slightly less frightening than Richard's.
But I did have the same thought in a very similar way. The way his arms were pinned ahead of him made him think of being shackled by Denna. He starts breaking out in a cold sweat, and he feels like everything around him is getting tighter. And he really wishes somebody would come and help him, but nobody can. And I liked that. That made me feel sad for him.
Oh, yeah. I wrote that he's clearly not field ready and shouldn't have come on this mission.
No, he had to. No, because Terry would say the only way he could ever have gotten field ready is to have panicked through this, right? Yeah, like it's just his brain is throwing out to him all the horrible stuff he's been through lately, which makes sense. And so then he starts his mantra.
Yep.
Master all guide us. Master all teach us. Master all protect us.
In your light we thrive. In your wisdom we are humbled or something. Yes, shelter in our glory forever and ever. Amen.
And he just chants it over and over again until he's calm again. This really reminded me of Dune, I have to say.
Yeah. Definitely. Terry.
Yeah, I know. Granted, it's like, you know, a concept that supersedes Dune, but
of course,
there is one specific scene that I remember really well where, what the fuck is his name? What's his name in Dune?
Paul Atreides.
Yeah, Paul. I think it's Paul.
Duke of Arrakis.
Because I read it so long ago, but like he's like internalizing his fear is the mind killer mantra. And he like uses it, I feel like, throughout the book. Yeah. There's one instance where he like gets sucked under the sand and he's like buried in it. And you're like, I remember him doing it to like calm down and not freak out while he was buried to like get out. And I was like, I do not know if I could do that. Like, I was like, I do not know if you could do that.
Yeah, I guess he was like, he used it in such minor scenarios that when he really needed it, it worked. It was a source of strength for him.
Yeah.
I'm sorry now because I never read Dune.
Yeah.
This is egregious.
I will accept it. The scenarios are different enough.
Yeah. Is he not buried by a mountain of stone?
He's in sand, you know, Dune. He's buried in the sand.
Sure, Dune. Those are different things, but
I feel the setting feels different enough. The context of why they're there is completely different.
The mantra was forced upon Richard.
Yeah, exactly. This mantra like has a weird complexity to it, where like at least in Dune, it's just pretty much positive
for you. And
so I don't know. I get what you're saying. I do think he might have taken some inspiration from Dune.
Seems like he did cherry pick a couple of things, but
this one didn't bother me that much. Maybe it's because I'm not that attached to Dune, but
fair enough. The Bene Gesserits are coming for you.
And it also it's very like transcendental meditation is like a very specific thing that apparently there's also like all this controversy going on. I don't know. Rest in peace, David Lynch. He died recently, and he was really into transcendental meditation, which is very specifically like a type of meditation where you're like focusing on a mantra.
Interesting. Okay.
And yeah, I don't know. People are being like, it's a cult. David Lynch wanted people to join the cult. I don't know if it's a cult. I don't know, but
I don't think David Lynch wanted people to join a cult. That's all I'm saying.
He did talk.
It might be a cult, but
he talked about it a lot. I think it's fine, though.
Yeah, and he's also a fucking world-renowned movie creator, show creator.
I saw somebody being like, his movies are just, like, lightly veiled attempts to, like, get people into the transcendental meditation cult. I don't know.
Oh, is there, like, a whole movement behind this? Or is it, like...
Yeah, I actually am on their email list because I was intrigued by it. And...
Guys, my wife every day surprises me and fantastic ways like this.
This was way pre David Lynch that I got on that.
I assume you've probably been doing it for 20 years. Tell me, what are they up to?
Well, no, I don't really know. They want me to... You have to pay a lot of money to learn this.
So good thing we got priced out of this one.
We did.
Tell me what's the deal?
There's everybody, like, there's always like local teacher in your area. There is. If you go on the website, you put in your zip code, they'll like show you people who are like masters who you can reach out to them and learn it, but you do have to pay the group like... It was like $900 or something. It was really expensive.
What, that's like an entry fee? So this is Scientology part.
I mean,
whatever.
I don't think so. I was just curious because I was like, oh, if it's like $50, right?
Yeah.
And I could go learn this from somebody local, that sounds kind of cool. But then it was like very expensive. It says transcendental meditation is not a religion, nor does it interfere with one's religion or lack of one. It is not a belief system. You don't even have to believe in transcendental meditation for it to work, which kind of reflects on like Richard in a weird way because like he doesn't believe what he's saying. And it still
true.
works.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Right? Okay.
Right.
So also that's number one.
And that feels kind of objective if it works without your belief, right?
Yeah. Transcendental meditation technique involves the silent repetition of a mantra or sound. Is practiced for 15 to 20 minutes twice per day. I don't know. As far as I'm aware, that it's very specifically using a mantra and repeating it out louder in your head to
like align yourself,
get into a specific state of mind. And like I said, they do always say like you literally don't even have to like be like, oh, this will work.
Now, did they have the mantras already written, or do I need to come up with my own personal
I'm pretty
mantra?
that's like how you work with the person to like come up with one.
Okay.
I could be wrong.
I mess with that. Yeah.
Well, anyway, it really made me think of it, and then people were talking about it with David Lynch, and that's actually really weird though. But no, that makes sense because I was like.
What?
I was like, it really reminded me of Dune, and it really reminded me of transcendental meditation. And then everyone was talking about David Lynch in regard to transcendental meditation, who directed Dune.
Look at that.
Hey.
Look at that.
I don't think I'm...
Maybe not the best Dune, but he did direct the first
He was
Dune.
still there.
Yes, he was.
He was called to do Dune, and perhaps it's because the mantras in Dune, he related to that.
Makes sense. Yeah.
What do you guys think?
What do you think about transcendental meditation? Are you joining? Find a local teacher today at...
You could just Google it.
Yeah.
Does anyone do it?
Does anyone do it?
And if you did, tell me what it was like if you actually went to do the training and you worked with somebody.
Seeker and Confessor Pod guide us. Seeker and Confessor Pod teach us.
If they started saying it, I think we'd gain powers.
I think we would. If you could all help us out, do a little mantra for us every day. Thank you.
The podcast we suddenly have like thousands of subscribers.
Holy shit. Our lives are changed forever because of you.
Okay. Richard is stuck in his little hole.
Say it again.
Stuck in that hole, and he is chanting. He's calming down because he luckily has been practicing transcendental meditation without even realizing it. And he's getting through this. And that's when something else happens. The stakes.
Uh-oh. What was that in the darkness?
I don't know that it's quite a snake, but it's snaky.
It's snake-like.
In nature. So he feels something touch his leg. Again, he's stuck in this little spot here. What? So he kicks it. And all of a sudden it comes back cold, wet, slimy, slithering.
There's the wet. There's the wet.
Yeah, okay. Why did it come in such a negative fashion? Because it's his negative emotions.
Correct.
Okay, so he had his sword, he had his fire. So he had his action and he had his mind.
Yes.
Which is true, right?
Piercing ahead.
Right. So for those who are not tarot heads, fire
4 suits
symbolizes action-oriented
movement, growth, whatever.
Things. And then swords are all cerebral. It's like your mindset, intelligence, things of that nature. So, right, Richard's like problem solving. He's action. He's going through the cave. He had both of those qualities. Then the creepy air was coming through. I guess that's sword energy.
Sure.
Then we had lots of earth going
Yep,
on.
the pentacles are earth, so he's surrounded by earth. So he's struggling with something tangible, right? Like,
yeah, earth is pentacles, and earth is like money and like practical day-to-day grounded aspects of your life, like your career and like
yeah,
just like your home life, things like that. So I guess why is he struggling with that?
maybe this is, and we've been saying it, maybe this is a sexual journey for Richard. Like,
Well,
this is,
for sure, in
he
part.
is trying to get to Scarlet's egg, the cosmic egg, and his own virility and fertility as a man. And
Well, he's trying to get to rebirth here, right? Because he's gonna
That's
go
what I'm
find it.
saying.
He's gonna go find an egg, but that doesn't necessarily like it could be broader,
Sure, absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
But there's definitely a sexual element. Denna, Scarlet, all that,
Mm.
vaginas, whatever, it's there. And then this thing is very sexual. This thing that's clawing on him right
Absolutely.
now, has a lot of interestingly sexual feeling, not in a pleasant way. Something about Earth is really.
Well, I mean, we could literally take it as the job ahead of him, this earthly demand of saving the earth.
Yeah, it's a
right?
lot. Right. Oh my god. I think maybe it is that. It's like, yeah, the demand of literally saving Earth and all.
Has to
He's
save
trying
all
to
life.
specifically save also, like, because it's like potentially even if Dark and Raw comes out on top, life Earth still exists, but there's no longer like what the suit of pentacles represents, which is kind of like the common mundane
Absolutely. Yeah.
elements
You're right.
of living will no longer exist because
No.
it's like it's all just about him.
And with it, yeah, commerce, trade,
Right,
all
exactly.
those sorts of like
Yeah.
interpersonal things on the ground are gone because
Right.
Dark and Raw just owns everything.
So that is pressing, the weight of that is pressing down on him, the burden of saving the pentacle element, really all elements of life, but especially that. And then this creepy slimy monster, which are his emotions,
are trying to claw him back into the darkness and turn him into poop.
But yeah, and also, yeah, they're trying to be like, it is too much. Like his emotions are being like, don't do it. Don't take that on.
Let me overwhelm you. Let me
Come back.
And as soon as he
It's saying,
mentally was able to calm
Right.
himself, now the emotions come on.
right. So it's like, don't go into the darkness. Just let it happen. You can't take all of that.
And you shouldn't have to.
Right.
Let me end you here.
But it hurts.
It hurts. Of course it hurts. But
No, meaning it hurts if he goes with it.
of course it
Right.
does. Yeah.
Like, it hurts to go past it as well.
But I think
But
he's at that fulcrum. He's at that
Yeah.
crux where he's like, I think it hurts less to keep going.
Right.
And it's like, no. Like, don't, that's too much. Don't do that.
Yeah. So,
Wow, he got over his paralysis at the weight of all the responsibilities pressing down on him. But once he did that, the crushing weight of his emotions
came through.
right through and tried
Yeah.
to like yank him
But
back
they
down.
also are the reason he pushes through at the same time.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
Because like if the monster didn't show up, he might not have had the like momentum. Like say he calmed down with his chant and then he was just sitting there and the monster didn't show up.
Yeah.
The way he like ends up squeezing himself out is because he's trying to escape the monster. Do you know what I mean? Some part of me was like, if that monster didn't show up, I don't know if he would have even been able to, like, it was the panic that kind of got him out the other side.
Fair.
Which is
Yeah.
kind of interesting.
And this is the alchemical, like, he's in the crucible right now.
Yeah.
He has every element surrounding him.
Which is interesting that and Dark and Raw, like, literally was doing, like,
Alchemy.
crucible
Yeah.
alchemy.
Yeah.
So, like, we did, at some point in this book, introduce the idea of, like, alchemy being
Part
important or to magic and, like, a real thing. So I think, yeah, Richard's, like...
This is pretty good.
See?
It's pretty good. It cooks. But what is this thing?
I have no idea. This thing, and we'll see it when he finally, like, sort of engages with it later.
Yeah.
This really reminded me of Lord of the Rings. The monster in the water. But the fact that there is that monster and it is specifically related to the mines of Moria is, like, yeah. It has a lot of interesting things it brings to mind. So it's a wet, slimy, slithering, like, tentacle thing going up his pant leg. and it works its way up, caressing his skin. So I do, and especially the fact that it's going up his pants and it is going towards his crotch.
Absolutely.
It has a real uncomfortable sexual feeling to it. It's on the inside of his thigh, it says specifically, and that's when he feels something start to pinch his skin. I do think this must have something to do with him reflecting on his experience sexually with Denna.
Definitely.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, it's all sexual, but like it feels caressing, but then it like keeps pinching and like hurting him.
Yeah.
And I think his like first experience with sex.
Yeah, if we consider that he's a virgin or is virginal before this whole experience, then Denna's really his only sexual.
But now it has a weird, like,
just it's associated with like pain and not wanting it and being stuck in it.
Like he wants it and he doesn't want it, right?
Yeah.
Like it's both.
This was some traumatic stuff he went through, specifically regarding sex and and being stuck.
Yeah, it's bad to have those combined,
especially
unwillingly as your first like foray. You know, it's like that's not good.
No.
So Richard obviously wants to get away from this thing, so he decides to breathe out so hard to make himself as small as he possibly can and try to slide out. And it says that he had the thought to do that before, but he was too afraid to even try it. But the slimy thing on his leg is making him try. So there's something interesting about it because it is saying like without, like this thing is creepy and bad, but without its existence, he would have been stuck.
Yeah.
You know, like he needed
that
shitty
push
thing,
forward.
Yeah, to exist for him to get somewhere or get out or whatever.
Yeah, and maybe this is a reflection on like bad negative emotions and just being like they do have a purpose.
Right.
Ignoring them is not good.
Right.
Opening yourself up to them can push you forward to do the thing you need to do.
That's true. Yeah. So he moves a foot forward and he feels like it's actually even tighter now that he moved forward. But he feels his fingers up ahead. He can kind of feel the edge of an opening. So he breathes out even more and he's trying to like grab the side to drag himself out, but the thing grips his leg. It says painfully and urgently.
Yeah.
And then he hears angry clicking, which is it is very creepy. I don't think this monster, like I think it is just sort of generic.
I think it is unknowable fear. I think it's just got all the elements.
Exactly.
It's clicking like an insect. It's grabbing like some sort of squid. Mm-hmm. It's giving like displacer beast sort of monster. Alien. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So he starts dragging himself out. And it says he feels something sharp on his leg, like little cat's claws sinking into his flesh. I thought that was like an interesting choice of words.
Yeah, very, very playful.
Exactly. Yes, that's what's interesting. I feel like he was sort of weaving in all these like both pleasant and negative descriptions. Like cat's claws, it's like very like cutesy. Yeah. And then it's like very creepy, and then saying like it's like caressing his inner thigh, very like, oh, that's good, right? And then it's like, oh, but it is also hurting him. That's bad. So, but yeah, that's very Denna. This is him, I think, because I said that it felt like he was like walking through the people's palace.
Oh yeah.
I feel like this is him dealing with the sexual part of what happened with him and Denna.
Yeah.
Right.
I agree.
Richard falls out of the hole and into an egg-shaped chamber, which was an interesting choice because we are in fact going to get an egg. So eggs are everywhere here. And so him falling out into the egg shape, he was literally like born back into an egg. Yep. He's in the egg now. He hasn't hatched out yet.
Cosmic egg. Go ahead and look it up. Like all these alchemical like drawings. This is this. Like,
So he goes to grab his sword. Oh, I guess I should have mentioned that. When he was like in there and he could feel the edge, he like pushed his sword and torch down ahead of him. Then he goes down and he goes to grab the sword on the floor. But as he's going to do that, the creature puts a big tentacle out of the hole and it grabs his leg and drags him back up. He doesn't get the sword. He's screaming. Another appendage goes up his other pant leg. So like this is very invasive and scary. They're going up his pants. They're pulling him back up. Then Richard gets his knife and he starts stabbing the thing in the hole because there's like more mass, it seems like, in there.
Yep.
And it lets out a high-pitched squeal. The claws retract and then he drops back down into the egg room. He gets the sword and that's when like a bunch of tentacle arms come out of the holes and he starts chopping them up.
Yeah. He goes snicker snack, you know?
And then they all kind of whip back into the hole and there's a growl. The imagery of that is like, I really was just picturing Lord of the Rings. Like it feels really similar.
It's fun, yeah.
So it says, in the flickering of the torch on the floor, he sees a bulk squeezing out of the opening and it's expanding as it exited. It's very like octopus-like, right? I mean,
octopus, spider, that kind of thing.
Well, the fact that it like can squeeze into like a little thing and then get bigger.
That's very,
and it says he knew he didn't want to let it into the chamber with him. And an arm goes around his waist. It lifts him up. He lets it lift him up. So he's clearly like, he's not just like flailing about. He's still planning.
He's thinking.
Well, he got his sword. So now his cerebral is back online.
Yes, it is.
And he can think calmly.
Yep.
And he just sees an eye and wet teeth. And he just jams the sword into its eye. And it just drops him and it runs back into the hole. So he won at this point, right?
Yeah.
He won against the negative emotions. I guess we could look at it many ways. Did he kill them? Well, he didn't kill... Actually, no, he didn't kill them. It just ran away, right? Because he couldn't deal with it or need it right now. But It's not dead. They still exist, right? In his cave mind.
Yes. That's true. But he blinded it. He wounded it. It did not consume him.
Correct.
Yes.
So Richard can tell his legs are bleeding a ton, but he calms down and he proceeds out of one more tunnel and then he exits the cave. So he's reborn on this other side here when he gets out there. When he gets out, it's dawn. The chirping of the birds greeted him. We have a lot of spring imagery here. He rests for a bit behind a rock.
Very egg Easter.
Yeah, definitely. And he realizes, as he's sitting there, he's like, okay, the egg's obviously going to be way too big for me to bring it back through the cave, so I don't know what the hell I'm going to do.
Probably wasn't going to fit anyway.
Yeah. So then he's sitting there, and that's when a blood fly bites him. He's like, I'm fucked. But then he's like, wait a minute. And he cuts off strips off of his blood-soaked pants. He ties a rock onto them and he starts swinging them and throwing them. And he throws one towards the Gars and he throws some into the woods. Then he does his big move here. It's weird. Like, all of this feels like... I almost feel like the cave scene, which makes sense because I do feel like it was like a dark symbolic version of him. It's like the ballet sequence in West Side Story. It's like him going back through the whole Denna scenario, which we say like the beginning of the book has like goofy fantasy vibes. Then we get like dark, serious tone shift with that. Then we went back to silly, goofy with the other chapter. Then back in the cave, we returned. Like, that part of the book fits with the Denna portion.
Absolutely, yeah.
But now,
back to the silly,
the
goofy,
cave, we are back to Goofy City.
Correct.
And it is a little jarring. I was really reflecting on the cave, like, as he was going through it. And then, like, I just was like, oh. And I don't even... If it's all goofy or we're in Goofy for a long time, I kind of get in the flow of it, but I do find it hard to like...
It's very
go back and forth so much. So yeah, he's throwing his bloody pants pieces around and he takes out Birdman's whistle and he blows it.
Oh man, Richard's inability to call specific birds is going to be huge here.
So tons of birds come and they go
thousands
nuts. They are eating all the blood flies and the Gars are running around and they're trying to kill the birds. But it says for every bird they catch, 100 took its place. That's a lot of birds. And the air was thick with feathers. And Richard says in his head, if only Birdman could see this.
What I hate about Richard, though, is like, you just went through something so harrowing.
I know.
And then immediately you're like, yuck, 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 yuck.
I know.
It's like, dude,
I mean,
just be quiet for a little bit. Just reflect.
I know I do find it too jarring, the like intensity of what we just had him reflect on and go through, and he got rebirth, etc.
Yeah.
And then just to go right into, if only Birdman could see this, he thought, smiling. Whatever.
Like he's Robin in like the Batman and Robin like cartoon from like the 60s.
Yeah.
Gee willikers.
So the only thing I thought, though, I was like, wouldn't naturally birds always be around Gars? Like,
yeah, you would think, right?
Like the natural ecological result of this would be that Gars are followed by.
Maybe this whistle makes them go fucking nuts. Though.
It's like
they're just
bird
like,
nip.
oh my god, we gotta go to that noise, and then they get there like, lunch is served, boys.
Wouldn't birds always just be? If there's a set of Gars in a stationary spot, I'm thinking the trees around that area are literally non-stop filled with birds
looking to pick them off. Saying maybe the birds are too timid to eat the flies normally because the big things they're attached to just swing at you and kill you.
I guess it depends how far the flies go from a Gar's personal space.
Don't they usually coat their body too until they're hunting?
Yeah, I guess I would just I guess I was imagining, like, if a bunch of Gars are together, there's just, like, flies everywhere.
Probably.
But maybe not. Maybe the flies are on their person more.
Mostly.
And the birds can't
there's a couple
get to
of
them.
errant flies.
I don't know. I just think if they had flies everywhere, birds would be gravitating. I do wonder, though. I'm like, what order did Terry think of all this in, right? Like, did he think... Like, how could, I don't know. I'm like, was he ever like, how could Richard fight Gars? Oh, this would be clever. I gotta make sure he gets a bird whistle. And then he, like, retrofitted Birdman into the mud people. Did he think of Birdman first?
Yeah.
And then was like, what could the bird whistle be used? Like, I don't know. I'm so curious which
Gars
way this
strike
went.
me as, like, the first thing he came up with. I don't know why. I was like, he's like, that'd be cool. Like, that's like from when he was like 10, you know?
I don't hate them.
He's like, it's like a monkey covered in killer flies, and then they have a psychic connection. Like, and he was like, I'm writing that in my book.
On the Sword of Truth subreddit, I saw people being like, after crotch leaves, like, literally Gars never come up again.
Why would they?
Which is crazy.
Why would they?
Because they exist in this world.
Nah, not really. Nothing actually exists in this world.
We set them up so much.
This world is empty.
Which, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That we get rid of them like that.
Well, what's the head count for creatures of Snarl and Snap?
Only one.
Is it one? Old John?
Old John.
Old John?
That is still, if I had to go through...
Yep.
Like, craziest least favorite moments, I think Old John takes it for me.
And Sister Spider?
No, Old John is it. Like, that was the weirdest part of this book for me.
And that's saying something.
I know, that really was the most absurd, like, if I were an editor, that's where I would be like, no, I'm so sorry. I'm lasered in on this part.
You explain everything that you were thinking about.
Yeah. We gotta change
What were you doing here?
Yeah. Whatever. I don't hate the bird conclusion to this. So Richard uses the chaos of all the birds attacking them as an opportunity to just start running at the egg. And he attacks some of the Gars that come for him, but he intentionally doesn't kill them. So they create more chaos, just like yelling and flapping about on the ground. Again, this is just so cartoony and like
what just
silly.
happened?
It's so weird after his really extreme psychological growth.
And so now, once again, this plan sucked. This was a bad plan. Yeah, you crawl out the other side.
Did you see Erica's comment?
What?
About how, like, I think we, like, find out at some point, because Richard's magic functions on need.
Yeah.
That is why he specifically benefits from never making a plan.
No, that's fine. It's not fine. But it's, that's a dumb idea.
Some part of
it's a dumb idea unless you have a bunch of different types of magic going off, and he's just the chaos magic guy.
I agree.
To make him the main character, and his thing is just like, "'Cause I said so," is lazy.
It's it's not admirable from like a writer point of view. No,
it gets Terry out of so many holes, and it's just because he couldn't think of another thing.
Like, at least he came up with a reason.
Sure. But
right?
we don't get it in this book. So
whatever.
now we're sitting here left wondering what the fuck.
That's like one of many things that I'm always like, did he retroactively add that?
Also, what magic was involved here? So he didn't come up with a plan,
hello.
but what, fate just made the magic work in his favor?
Magic in this world
you're right,
is
actually,
just
yeah.
like anything boring and basic that you do.
Yeah, that's true.
Is it so
I
brand
apologize,
of magic? Like, yeah, you just had coffee drinker magic.
I always have coffee drinker magic. That's a good cup of Joe.
An eyelash stuck in my eye during this, and I never any other time.
She's crying.
I'm not.
She's looking at my beauty, and she's tearing up.
I thought the joke was like the book made me cry again.
Not this chapter.
I could have, maybe.
Why? Because of the panic? Like, the
Yeah,
empathy?
honestly, I could have cried. I could have cried when Richard said he wanted someone to come help him. I could have.
Damn.
What?
Damn.
That's the there was
That's
one.
the closest bit.
I'm not gonna lie. Like, if I let myself, I could cry over that.
Yeah.
If I allowed it.
Yeah. This is what I'm working with. She's signing up for the Transcendental Meditation newsletter, and she's crying at like that.
Oh, that is so sad.
Oh, he wants help. I'm crying.
I might.
Yeah.
Catch me on the right day. I'll cry. So yeah, he's fighting off the Gars. Like I say, he's not killing them. He finally gets to the egg. He picks it up. It's warm and it's heavier than he expects it to be. And I got an egg right here.
Wow. Look at that. Look at it go.
There.
The opposite, yeah. Oh, careful with that.
Sorry.
If it's not ready yet.
He's carrying it with 2 arms. He has to keep putting the egg down to fight Gars with his sword on his way out. And just as he like puts it down, he's fighting. They're all coming. And he's about to be overwhelmed, and here comes Scarlet.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she scoops him up in her big claw. She just fire breathes. She kills them all. And then she picks up Richard and the egg, and she flies away. And some Gars are trying to chase them in the air, and Richard is cutting off their wings. I don't know how well I could picture that, but I believe it.
I guess just, snacking at them. And then they...
They fly off. He's laying in her claw. He's admiring the landscape below. Classic adventure story stuff.
Yeah.
He's like, there goes the mountains.
Dang.
There goes...
Look at my life's kind of crazy, huh?
So...
Oh, wow. Never thought I'd be up here. Oh, no. And if it was Marvel, it would be like, you got more comfortable seating in this claw?
Oh, God.
Hey, can we get a cushion up in this claw?
Atrocious.
I know.
That's so bad.
You're like, no, it's fine. I'm comfortable. Don't worry about me. I can do it all day.
Fucking writers room.
I can do it all day. Hey, you think we can stop for food? I'm getting a little hungry.
This is so bad. Yeah, see, so I will take...
Better than an Uber.
Are you gonna keep going?
Beats being in traffic.
Anyway, I was just saying, I will take earnest, classic, trite, classic adventure boy nostalgia vibes over that any day of the week.
Yeah, because it's fucking non-committal and boring.
I love earnestness, I do.
Yep. And you hate this.
So they land on a high up ledge on cliffs where there's a little cave in the rock where Scarlet has a nest set up. She puts her egg in it, she breathes fire on it, and she strokes it, she inspects it, she coos at it. This is another part I could cry at. I'm not even gonna lie.
Her cooing at her egg?
Yeah, her with the egg I think is so sweet. This is a part that it doesn't happen that often, but sometimes while I'm reading it, I will be like, oh, I remember this. This I remember.
Oh, that's wild.
Really weird. Yeah, really. This I remember very well. Like everything with her and this egg, I guess I probably wanted to cry about it then too.
Probably.
Maybe I did. So she's being really sweet and mama-like with her egg. And then we're like, oh, look at Scarlet's soft side, which again is kind of Denna, right? Yeah. You're like, oh, they have this other side to them. as do most people, Terry.
Except the ugly ones.
So Richard asks if it's okay. She says yes. And he says, I'm glad, Scarlet. I really am. And we got a couple of doozies coming here.
Okay.
He gets his pack and he wants to put on new pants. Oh, we actually get such a Marvel moment right here. This is so funny.
Yep.
It really is. Okay. He finds in his pack, he finds his cream from Denna in there, and he thinks she must have returned it to his pack. And thinks in his head, how could he care about someone who had done those things to him? He had forgiven her. That was how. Forgiven her with the white magic, which relates to the coffee joke I just made. But I was like, oh, so now forgiving people also is...
Well, he forgave her with the empathetic sword, right? I don't know.
But so I guess my question is, like, him being like, how could I care about her even though she did those horrible things to me? That's obviously a good reflection to have him state. So to say that because he had forgiven her with the white magic, or is that to suggest that without the white magic he could not have forgiven her?
Yeah, I think so.
Interesting. Okay, that's kind of interesting. I don't know. Is that what that means?
Well, once again, with magic being just mundane nonsense, I think that forgiveness is the white magic.
Well, so that's what...
But then Richard is able to kill you physically with that feeling.
Sure, but then that's not what I just said, right? Like, if forgiving, which anybody can do, can then turn into magic...
You forgave someone with magic? You're a wizard of the first order.
Yeah, like, then it goes back to, like, this thing he keeps doing where it's just, like, that thing that everyone does in here, could be magic if Richard does it or specific person does it a certain way. I don't know. Or it's, like, it's that the magic made it so that he could forgive somebody that he normally would not have been able to. I don't know which way to read it.
Why can I not? If I was in the same scenario without the magic and I forgive Denna,
well, like
is it impossible to forgive Denna without magic? Is that what he's saying? Because I don't think that's true.
Oh, that's what I'm trying to understand. I wasn't sure.
I think he's literally making a statement. I forgave her with my sword in the white magic zone, which is forgiveness for me.
I guess, like, every time he forgives somebody, will it be via a certain type of magic?
I don't think it has to be, but I think if he uses the sword while forgiving them, it will be the white sword.
Right, but to say, like, how could I forgive her? Well, white sword magic. It's like not just being
it's not a well. It's a I forgave her. That's why I could use white sword magic, right?
He forgave her.
Yeah.
And then that was why he was able to even use white sword magic.
That's what I'm saying. That's not what he says.
So it's like,
he's saying, how
could I have forgiven her?
Because I used the white sword magic. That's why.
He had forgiven her. That was how forgiven her with the white magic. I guess I'm like, I feel like you forgave her without it first.
You had
and
to.
then that was how you got the white sword
came
magic.
out of your action of forgiveness.
Giving her, right.
Yeah. So that's wrong, Terry.
Well, I don't know. It feels like
confusing.
It's confusing my understanding of how that worked. Yeah. So whatever. Obviously, the cave brought up these questions for him. I'm glad Richard's reflecting on it. The complexity of the fact that he's like still having the feelings of affection when he finds the cream, but he's like, oh, she did really fuck me up. And it's like, she did.
Then Scarlet says. So
he goes to put the cream on his cuts and he takes off his pants, and then Scarlet does a marvel and she says, you look funny without your pants. And Richard spins around and Scarlet's watching. I just, picturing him like, and then like her like, hey. And why would she even have that opinion?
If you're not the main character, you're dumb moment. That's all it is.
Why would you have that opinion?
If it's not your chapter, you're an idiot.
You look funny without your pants?
A dragon probably doesn't even think of pants.
Correct.
They're just like, it's part of their skin. I don't know.
Pants and no pants to a dragon on a human's physiological form would just be like negligible.
You look funny? Like she's a kid?
I don't know, but again, she also like...
What looks funny?
She also, was concerned with her beauty, so...
From him?
Right, and not in like the narcissistic dragon sense.
Notice how she doesn't say, Richard, your titanic, massive, scary hog of a penis is frightening me, the red dragon.
She should have said that.
She should have said that.
That would have fit with
that would have been
a lot of the
100%,
tone.
yeah. Tell me I'm beautiful, giant-dicked warrior. That's what she should have said.
No, she said,
Yeah, you look funny
you look
without
funny
your
without
pants
your
on.
pants. Like, okay.
Princess Violet
Literally,
level.
like, why?
It's a dragon and a mom. So not even a baby dragon where you could be like, they're just weird. They're kooky dragon babies. It's a fucking adult woman dragon.
And then Richard says,
like,
those are not reassuring words for a man to hear from a female. Even if the female is a dragon.
Richard's fedora just descends from the heaven. Even if it's a dragon. Maybe especially if.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's something.
Richard can have one body pillow of a anthropomorphic sexual thing. What does it go? I don't know.
As a little treat.
It's a little treat, yeah.
I guess it would be a dragon.
Yeah,
what do you mean?
That's all he's got so far. The old job body pillow. Wait, if we had a fucking store, I'd put that shit on there.
What it like? What?
Old man, and then when you flip it, it's, you know, a creature of snarl and snap. Indeterminate description, but yeah.
Both of those would be really hard to get.
We'll hire an artist. That's what they do.
So
let's end this.
Yeah, I don't know why that bit was in there, but okay. She asks if the Gars injured him. He says no, something in the cave did. He tells her about how he was stuck in the cave, and he says that he's been scared. He's been scared since he left his home to stop Dark and Raw, but being stuck in the cave was one of the worst times he's had so far.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Scarlet thanks him for getting the egg.
Worse than everything that happened with the Mordsith, though.
Well, I guess if we're to take, I think this was my take because I thought that too, but I was like, I think this was like a distillation of
Sure.
the trauma and fear and pain of that experience. Like,
Plus a monster.
well, the monster's also part of that.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
it was just like a pure distillation of those feelings and him having to like live through it all at once.
And survive. Yeah.
That was how I took it. I was like, I think it is that.
Yeah.
But now him having to face it.
All at once.
All at once.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Scarlet thanks him for getting the egg, and she says she never believed a man would risk himself so for a dragon. And then never. This world, lots of things haven't happened yet, okay? People have not learned how to forgive anyone.
Every single human woman or dragon woman is waiting for Richard to tell them that they're beautiful and for him to do first time things like be nice or
be nice. It's a lot of things.
Save
It's
the day.
forgiving people, being nice, lying,
Make roofs.
making a roof, making tile, things of that nature. They've never
He
done
made
it.
so much tile. That was crazy.
Is that one of your top
Oh,
crazy moments?
I think it's the cloud still for me, the tracker cloud.
You were not okay with
Still
that.
just the amount of times that cloud was brought up.
Yeah. When she says she's so shocked no man has ever helped a dragon like that before, he's like, well, to be fair with you, I kind of did it to save my friends. And then she's like, wow, you're so honest. Actually, that makes you even better.
Which, this is interesting, but that is exactly the lesson that he needed to learn from Addie. It's like that being entirely truthful thing about intention.
I actually, that's like a quality when it comes out like this that I like in his character, like just being like, don't give me too much credit. I actually do it. Like, I kind of relate to that. I feel like I'm weirdly straightforward in that way.
I agree, but I
like,
think
I get
he
it.
really didn't get it then.
Yeah.
And over whatever, all this thing, and him going through it. And I thought it was interesting, because clearly very similar to the boundary that he just crossed through. She lost her foot in there.
Oh,
And this
grippers.
creature was, well, the grippers was grabbing at his, like, you know, his leg and all that too. And I'm kind of like, that's interesting.
Well, she fell asleep in there.
She did. He kept pushing, I guess.
Right.
There's something there.
Loser.
Yeah.
I don't
She
know.
got her foot back. Zed
She's fine, yeah.
Zed stapled it back on.
So she says she's right. She's like so happy that he was honest with her. And she's like, honestly, I think you might have saved my egg anyway, which is like, yeah, maybe, depending on the day. She said she's sorry that he had to be injured and frightened. You may be the first who has ever helped one, meaning a dragon, for any reason.
Okay.
You think?
Sure, maybe.
Especially given that they're like such good communicators and like no man ever was like, hey,
Dark
you
and
do
Raw's
this
probably the
for
first
me.
one to ever steal one's egg too. Come on.
Yeah. Well, did we say that? But
no, apparently no one's talking to these guys.
I think ancient man in my happy.
I would help one now.
Oh.
I would help one now, and I'm not that like that. That's not a rare impulse. I feel like you want to help those guys. Even if it was
gonna eat you.
Come on, you need some. I'll do something. Let me just be friends with you. I don't need to do anything. Like I'm coming up to you and be like, "What do you need?" You fly and shoot fire, and you're cool as hell.
Anyway, I just think
you might want to bone me.
Yeah, well, there is that too.
God damn. Let me shoot my shot.
I think that the ancients would have most certainly had a tale of somebody doing something for a dragon, but whatever. He says that it's good she saved him when she did, and he asks why she did it because she said she wasn't going to. Oh, it says he asked her why she did it when he told her
Didn't I tell you to stay put? Richard, what the fuck?
And then, I didn't like this. She says she's embarrassed to admit she thought he was running away, and that's why she came, and she's going to make it up to him and help him find his friends. She's embarrassed to admit a dragon. The way she was characterized and the way that I think a dragon should be characterized would not involve her being
embarrassment.
Like, why are you embarrassed? Why would you be like, honestly,
I didn't trust you.
Usually suck. I didn't trust you. I thought you were right.
It's fine to have her hold that opinion.
Why is she embarrassed?
Because apparently none of them have been good up until now.
That didn't jive for me.
No. So all you have to do with this is just come up with the plan in the beginning. I'm going to go through. You watch the cave entrance for when I pop out, and then we're going to attack pincer style together.
What are you talking about? What does that have to do with anything?
Instead of this whole thing of like...
Well, first of all...
I thought you were running away, so I hovered in the nearby vicinity.
First of all, I get, as the author, wanting to be like, it is more fun as a reader to not know what's coming next, right? I think that's part of it. And then the second part is, I don't know, if at this point he had the plan that Richard's magic works this way, maybe he's operating on that, like planting the seeds for that idea. Yeah. But I just think it's fine. It happened as it happened. And she could have thought he was running away and been a little bitch about it. She's been a bitch the whole time. And I get that they are like having their moment here where they're like coming together more and she's grateful, etc. That does not... to me, she should still be haughty and doing things for Richard through that
I 100%
lens.
agree. I love when people, characters, whatever, maintain their like asymmetrical relationships. Yeah. So they're coming together, but it's still at this angle. You know what I mean? Yeah. She is still a dragon. He is still a little man. Agreed. I like when they touch at the weird angle that they can.
I agree.
Instead of her being like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, Richard. I thought you were a bad guy, but apparently you're the best guy in the whole world. I love you." Come on. Yeah, you know what I mean? Accurate. No, stay up here and be like, I guess you're a good one. I didn't think that was possible.
I'm not embarrassed,
I didn't trust you.
I didn't trust you, so I came in.
Ted Johnson, who came before you, screwed me over, and every one of them had.
I'll make it up. She thinks that she needs to make it up to him that she had a feeling about him that was incorrect. Why?
Like a dragon would never.
So then he's like, okay, well... are we going to be able to leave your egg now that you have it? And she's like...
conveniently, yes.
Can she leave it alone? And he's like, what if Dark and World tries to steal it again? Not from here, he won't. I searched a long time for this place after he stole my egg. So if I ever got it back, I would have a safe place for it. He will not be able to reach it here. Okay, saying I searched a long time doesn't explain to me why he won't be able to reach it there. Why not?
I have a weird theory, and I don't know if it's right.
Okay.
But there is a book in this series titled The Pillars of Creation, and this area is big stony pillars, and I'm wondering if this is like a special magic area. I don't remember what the Pillars of Creation are. I don't remember anything. But I read that, I was like, is this the Pillars of Creation? Yeah. They're in like a pillory, stony like area that's like almost like a canyon. So maybe he literally can't come here.
Okay.
And then maybe he had it in his head that that's an idea, and I'll make a whole book up about it later.
All right, fine. So Terry said conveniently, I will, which makes sense.
As of right now, it makes no sense.
I can't have Dark Girl come steal this egg again. We want to feel safe about the egg. Oh, there's a magic zone she found that he can't go into.
Maybe.
I guess is how we handled that.
Yeah.
Sure.
That I won't elaborate
I
on.
will appreciate it if he does in fact say, I'm committing to that and I'll explore it later. That's fine. So she's like, she can heat the rock with her flames and it's going to keep the egg warm while she's gone. And then he's like, when can we start? And then she's like, right now. So they're going to go look for Kaylin's Ed Chase.
Yep.
And
who are all going to believe that he is a bad guy when they see him riding Dark and Raw's dragon.
Holy shit. That's so bad.
That's like a good DM moment. Like I'm thinking
That's
like how
funny.
funny that would be, like
funny.
to do that to your players.
I mean, that's funny at all, but I guess I'm like, what I'm wondering is it going to dawn on Richard immediately, like, oh shit, right, the enemy web, or is he just gonna keep like forgetting the whole fight?
Eyes forward, eyes on the prize.
Like, is he just gonna be like, oh my god, why are they doing this the whole time?
Yeah.
I think
so.
Really? I think he's gonna.
No, they'll say it like
he's
2 sentences in and be like, wait, the enemy web. Yeah.
And then you think that we're going to have like, he's gonna be like, I swear it's Richard, and then they're gonna be like, tell me. Oh my god, wait. Prediction.
Give me it.
It's probably not gonna happen, but my prediction is Kaylin's gonna be like, tell me something only Richard would know, and he's gonna like have to bring up the spirit house because it's the only like truly private thing between them that only Richard would know.
Now the ghosts are watching.
I know, I thought that was like, wait, but we also like, we kind of fucked that up for him by coming up with our ghost theory.
We did, but yeah, who knows?
Anyway, I just made that up. I have no clue if that's going to happen. She's going to be like, tell me something only Richard would know. And he's going to be like, remember the apple in the spirit house?
I do.
I remember.
Yeah.
I remember many things.
Wow.
So how do you feel now after going through the underworld journey of the cave? On the other side, you've been reborn. You went into the egg cavern. You cracked out.
Yeah,
Do you like it more than when I asked at the beginning?
I like it more.
I think it's pretty impressive work, that part. I think it's pretty impressive.
I think I think as a whole,
yes.
talking about it now, I definitely like it more than when I read it. But I think that it still, in the service of the entire narrative, kind of falls flat because of just how disjointed the things leading up to it have felt.
Well, that's true.
But that also
could
have to do with our reading style right now. Yeah, the way we're doing it. If you read this straight through, maybe it would feel more of a... going through it slow was nice. You know, it really was.
That's what I mean. I don't think I even would... Like, if I had just been reading this book through real quick, I would not have stopped and thought too much about that.
No. It's just another monster in a cave.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. You're not thinking about the poop.
You're not thinking about the poopy.
You're not thinking about the poopy. You're not thinking about the butt or vagina.
You're not.
Turning into gold in the cosmic egg, Easter. You're not thinking of those things. But we are.
You're turning shit into gold.
Turning shit into gold. Literally.
Right.
That would have been good if there was gold on the other side.
Frank's always going on the alchemy subreddit, which
I love it. I love it so
pretty
much.
Sure is like, and I don't mean this like in any derogatory sense, but like it is filled with people who I think are legitimately schizophrenic.
They are schizophrenic,
and it makes me a little sad.
It's sad, but it's kind of fascinating to just kind of see how they're, I don't know, trying to figure out the world through this lens.
Well, they think they're finding patterns.
Well, they are.
That's
the problem.
That is the problem.
They are
it's
literalizing certain patterns that are supposed to be metaphorical, and it's fascinating.
Yeah.
But they are actually collecting their piss for an entire month and trying to distill it into like literally the Philosopher's Stone. So it's not a good idea.
Wild.
And they're all talking to each other on the same level. Like, you formed the Albus, and it's like, no, stop collecting your piss. But I love it. I just love seeing what they're up to.
I don't love it. It makes me upset.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did that. I found the Monster Energy drink subreddit, which I don't drink
That was disturbing.
energy drinks, and I was shocked that there's enough to talk about for a subreddit to exist. They were making helmets and like swords out of the boxes. They were doing arts and crafts in there.
Yeah.
They were having all sorts of discussions.
Very cool.
Listen,
I love people being passionate about their energy drinks.
I think I thought it was very cool, it was interesting.
It was definitely interesting.
Man. All right. Well, I think
not a bad chapter.
We got a lot out of it. We really chewed on that one.
We're almost 1-to-1 right now.
I know, we're so close to getting the chapter and the episode number the same.
Oh, I want it. But
what would we have to do?
We're on episode
44.
Chapter 45. So next one's 46.
If we had 1 2-parter, would that fix it?
That would fix it, yeah. We need
I think
one
that
more
might happen.
It might. Or at the, maybe the ending will...
That would be kind of cool if it ended that. If it ended the right number and the right chapter. That's that.
This has been great. Yeah.
Good convo. Good discoveries.
And until next time.
Bye.